Disclaimer. I create my own translations for this show, so there might be some mistakes. If you find any errors, please feel free to correct them in the comments. Hi guys and welcome to episode 2 of Love After Divorce Season 5. In this episode, we get to find out why the remaining members also got divorced. First up is Jong Q. He said his reason for getting divorced was because he and his ex-wife had very different personalities. Because of this, they fought a lot because they didn't understand each other. His ex-wife was strong-willed, very ambitious, and did whatever she wanted. When it came to money, Jong Q thought his money was enough for them to live on, but their expenses were really high. They argued a lot about how to manage money, so they decided to get a divorce. Jong Q said it was a mutual agreement, and they parted ways amicably. Right after Jong Q finished talking, Seah asked if she could speak after him, and everyone said yes. It's funny how she immediately said she'll go right after Jong Q, because that is the guy she likes, and guess what? Her reason for divorce was also because of differences in values and personalities. She said her ex-husband liked her for a long time, so she thought they would have a happy marriage. But as they lived together, she found out they didn't match in some ways. She said, even without big things, that the small things make her happy. But as they lived together, she found out that they didn't match in some aspects. After a while, she became unhappy in the marriage. They decided to separate for a while, and during that time, she thought it would be best to get divorced, so they did. Next up was Giduck. He said his ex-wife was really proud of her job and family, which he admired a lot. He thought he could learn from her, and he did. She helped him a lot, led and supported him. But she had an idea of what she wanted him to be, and for Giduck, happiness, peace, and stability were more important than his career. But since he couldn't meet her expectations in some aspects, she became dissatisfied. Giduck felt she was losing trust in him and was embarrassed by him. This made him feel bad about himself and he was made to feel inadequate as a partner. He became deeply troubled, stressed out, and his health declined. Her hurtful words had a significant impact on him. Eventually, he couldn't eat properly and had to be hospitalized. There, he was fitted with a special device that I'm assuming is a feeding tube as was described. He even went to work with this device, but his company instructed him to go home and rest. So, he took some time off. The panelists were astonished by the extent of his stress. When his wife saw him in this condition, she showed little concern. She mentioned going out, and he assumed it was something urgent, but he later learned she went to a bar to drink, showing little regard for him. His ex-wife continued to feel he was inadequate, constantly complaining about being unhappy. He expressed his desire for both of them to be happy, so they decided to part ways and seek their own happiness, agreeing to get divorced. When Kian began to speak, Kian listened intently, fully focused on him. Kian and his ex-wife had been high school sweethearts. He was a senior, and she was a junior, both in high school and college. They dated for 5 years, seeing each other almost every day without any arguments. This made Kian confident that they could be happy together forever. Both were very optimistic and decided to marry, filled with positivity. During his interview, when asked about his proposal, Kian became emotional and cried. He explained that after dating for 5 years, he introduced her to his mother for the first time. His mother had passed away from cancer when he was 20, and the only keepsake he had was a necklace. He proposed by putting this necklace on her and asking her to marry him. He believed their marriage would last a lifetime. Initially, everything was wonderful, and they were very happy. But over time, small conflicts began to arise, with trivial issues occasionally causing trouble. One day, out of nowhere, she said she couldn't live with him anymore, packed her bags, and left. Kian was shocked because nothing like that had ever happened before. They tried to work things out but she kept making excuses. He noticed she had stopped wearing the necklace about 3 to 4 months before she left. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to force her to wear it or make her do what she didn't want to do. Eventually, he got a cold one-sided divorce notice. It didn't make sense to him, and he didn't want to accept it at first, but he eventually did and got divorced. Giduck empathized with him that it must have been hard, while Haekyung was already in tears. Now it was Haekyung's turn to speak. She said that even before they talked about getting married, her ex had an underlying chronic illness. She said it was a serious illness that needed a transplant surgery at some point. Despite that, she was willing to accept him. As they were getting ready to marry, she asked him if he had any other illnesses, and he said no. But he and his parents lied about this fact. She later found out that there were other illnesses. At first, she tried to overlook it and understand that it might have been hard for them to share that information. But deceiving her and her family was difficult for her to handle. Still, she married him. She accepted him because that was the person she had chosen to be with. After they got married, her ex-husband changed from how he was when they were dating. She had accepted his illnesses, but something happened after they had been married for a year. At a year-end party with friends, her father-in-law sent her a text message saying she was the greatest happiness for their family that year, and that having her was their luckiest gift. She was moved to tears by this message. After receiving the message, she decided to step out to call her father-in-law and thank him. After finishing the call, on her way back in, her ex-husband ran up to her, saying he had been looking everywhere for her. He demanded to see the contents of her calls and messages, saying he had no choice but to doubt her. So here she was having a beautiful call with her father-in-law and her husband was suspicious of her. She thought that if there was already mistrust this early, their marriage would be too difficult. So, she decided to break up with him. Giduck asked if she disliked him being sick or if it was the fact that he hid it. She said no, she was willing to accept the illnesses. She also understands that he must have been upset too about not being able to tell her. But she believes she did what she could in the relationship and she's doing better now. The members praised her that she has a big heart. Next was Sujin. She started by saying she had never talked about her story with anyone outside of her family. She lost connection with all her college and high school friends. Sujin began her story by explaining that sometimes, her ex-husband started working long hours and wouldn't come home on time. One day, while doing laundry, she found a suspicious receipt for some dubious payments he made during his extra supposed work hours. She discovered he had been unfaithful, but she chose to forgive him. Giduck's expression was priceless when she revealed this. Everyone was stunned by her confession. However, he cheated on her again. Her ex was unfaithful twice, and during arguments, he would tell her to pack her bags and leave. Even the panel members agreed that cheaters often make the loudest noise, demanding their partners leave. It's heartbreaking to imagine being cheated on and bullied simultaneously, making it seem like she had no right to question him. It must have been incredibly painful. She mentioned that they were living with her in-laws at the time, so she confided in her father-in-law, but he seemed unaware of the situation. She had no one to talk to and no friends to confide in because she didn't have the luxury of meeting friends. A significant red flag she missed was having to cut off her friends. Entering a marriage that requires you to cut off friends and loved ones who care about you is a bad sign, making people vulnerable to toxicity and abuse. Her story is truly sad. Things got worse when her husband received his salary but didn't come home for a week. She didn't complain much, but he kept staying away more and more. She had to shoulder all the living expenses. With only one source of income and limited earnings, she had to take out a loan. Her ex-husband also borrowed money in her name, using her as a shield for financial problems and other issues. This is one of the worst cases of being taken for granted by a spouse that I have heard in a while. Many women experience this, and some have it even worse. I hope everyone going through these things finds help and someone trustworthy to talk to. It's heartbreaking. Eventually, all the debts fell on her. She was responsible for paying them all. After enduring 2 affairs and growing resentment, she decided to get a divorce. The panelists were very shocked and saddened by her story. She sent the lawsuit documents to his hometown, but no one responded, so she took legal action. Giduck is such an empathetic person. He gave feedback to everyone after they spoke, and Suene was no exception. He acknowledged how difficult things must have been for her and noted that she clearly wasn't happy but remained in the situation. He asked her what she was trying to protect. Suene, close to tears, said she was trying to protect her family. There was a moment of silence. Then Seah praised her for her tremendous sense of responsibility. Suene smiled and nodded. After another pause, Jong Q solemnly remarked that she had endured so much that it would be hard to ask her questions. But she responded beautifully, saying that situations like this only make you stronger, able to face the world with courage, and everyone nodded in agreement. She added that her friends would be really surprised when they watched the show. Following this, Giduck shared a surprising story about how his friends threw him a surprise divorce party. Everyone was shocked. These parties are quite popular in American TV shows. I've watched a couple of them and they're pretty interesting. The panelists explained that it's a party where friends come together to cheer you up and support you. Giduck said this party made him feel much better, giving him comfort and confidence. It showed him that many people still cared about him, even after his divorce, giving him the courage to talk openly about his divorce with confidence. So, that's the end of the reasons for divorce, everyone. What do you think about their stories? Which one hit you the hardest? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more content like this. Bye.